So over the weekend, there was also the celebration of Dia de los Muertos. Did I say that right? Those who don't, no one here speaks Spanish, so yes, it was right. It was the day of dead. Did I say it right? I didn't say it right? If I was close to Spanish, you're going to ever hear from me this part of my life. Anyway. The Day of Dead, it's a celebration, it's a Mexican celebration, very popular in Mexico. It's, I think it's increasingly popular here in the U.S. because of a lot of our immigrants and Mexicans who are among us, carrying that culture with them. I know that there was, I think it was yesterday, there was even a Day of the Dead 5K in Detroit. I was thinking maybe we should run, and everybody got dressed up, that culture, that tradition of dressing like skeletons and having parades and this festival of Day of the Dead. It's associated with, the reason why it happens this time of the year, associated with November 1st and 2nd of the church year of November 1st being All Saints Day, and November 2nd being All Souls Day. But the tradition, especially in Mexican heritage, is that this kind of stems all the way back to the Aztecs, the Mayans, this ritual of remembering and recognizing and offering gifts to the dead. And that's kind of the part leaving gifts, going to the graveside, leaving gifts, offerings to those who have died. It kind of has connections to the Mayan past, the Aztec past in Mexico. A little apologetic here. This is kind of universally practiced in many religions, many cultures, this idea of remembering the dead and the worship of the dead, the honoring of the dead. Even though I know we do it somewhat as Christians, we have our own Saints' Day, and today we're going to do this ourselves as a time in prayer to remember in name of those who have passed away from our congregation and close family friends who are with us. Is it right? And the question I'm going to pose is this something we should do, especially when it connects us? And the kind of apologetic here is interesting that outside of Christianity, there's this need, this desire to look back to the past and remember those who have passed away and were not with us. And within those religions, within those cultures, maybe there's a truth that comes out like that we worship them, that we honor them with our lives, especially like in Far East and China culture, that ancestral worship, that we honor the ancestors with our lives, that what we do with the living is going to bring blessing upon those who are dead, and so forth. And what I find interesting is that as humans, we're trying to find answers of what we do about those who have died. What hope is there about those who died? And I think that's what's become important when we look at God's Word and we see what God has revealed to us, that God has truly given us the real true hope, the real blessedness about those who have died, and that blessedness is who? Jesus Christ. Why Him? Because what did He do with the dead? And what did He do with the grave? He came back to life. And so that becomes our celebration as a Christian community, is that there's not a hopelessness, there's not a wishful thinking, there's not even a just remembrance and focus on the past as much as a remembrance and a focus of what is yet to come in the future, of that glory that Jesus will bring to Himself and to all His blessed children that He has blessed when He will raise the dead back to life. This isn't wishful thinking. This isn't a wonderment of the world. This is a firm confidence that we have about the dead among us. That they, in Christ, are alive. And truly are alive. And so I want to talk about, in this All Saints Day, talk about what it means to be blessed. And as we read in the Beatitudes, the wonderful text there of Jesus, as he begins the Sermon on the Mount to make note of those who are blessed, that those who seek righteousness, they are blessed. Those who are struggling with grieving, they are blessed. Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, they will be blessed. And those who are persecuted, those who are mocked, those who are struggling, they are blessed. And it's great how Jesus begins this to show that truly who are blessed. He didn't say, blessed are those who are rich. Blessed are those who are kings and queens. Blessed are those who have their life together and they know what they're doing. Blessed are those who have many friends and family and children. He didn't say anything about them. And so it begs the question, are they not blessed? But no, blessed are those who are meek. Blessed are those who are hungry. Blessed are those who are humble. Blessed are those who are persecuted. And the point Jesus is making is what really truly means to be blessed is that it is Jesus who's going to bless them through his very life. So we had this discussion last week. I was wrapping this up, the Beatitudes, with the men's Bible study on Thursday morning. And it kind of posed the question, what does it mean to be blessed? Kind of just asked the kids here, what does it mean to be blessed? What does this word mean? What came up is that sometimes this word blessed is translated to a different word. You know what? Another word that sometimes gets substituted for blessed? Anyone? Happy. You ever seen that? Okay, Al just jumped up and down. I think there's actually isn't there a song, a chord piece that has changed? I think I remember singing this or hearing this. There's a choir piece that takes the Beatitudes. It says that blessed are they. It says happy are those. And we got to talk about it. Is happy a good substitute for blessedness? And I was up front with the guys on Thursday. I'd be up front with you. When I first heard that, something struck me as this is off. That being blessed is more than just being happy. And I just found out Thursday where that came from. There was a translation, English translation, about 20, 30 years ago, was the first to take that word and replace blessed with being happy. And it's kind of stuck within our culture. We see it kind of flares its head once in a while. I see it in certain devotions or songs where they don't talk about being blessed, they talk about being happy. And so we talked about that for a few minutes on Thursday morning, and what came out of that discussion is that what I was kind of expressing myself is that being happy sounds very superficial. Like, I'm happy if the Tigers ever win again. I would be happy. All right? I'll be happy today if the Lions win. I'm happy this morning I got to sleep in an extra hour. All right, I'm happy for a lot of things, but to me that word happy, there's this kind of superficialness to it. And the thing is, it's about what makes me happy. You know, some of you might be grumpy this morning because, you know, you like to wake up early, get going, and you woke up at 5 this morning, and you just have to stay in bed for another hour, and you're probably just so grumpy because daylight ruins your day. I'll tell you now, 6 months from now, in March, when we go back, I'm not going to be so happy, and some of you might be happy because you just like getting up early. I don't know. But happy is superficial because there are things that make you happy that won't make you happy. And for things that make me happy, it's things I seek out. It's things I acquire for myself that makes me happy. But not being blessed. Blessed goes much deeper than our emotions. And I like how I put it, being blessed is a verb. Someone comes to bless you. No one ever comes to happy you, but there's a person who comes to bless you. See, a blessing, I think by its very definition, is something that happens to us that we cannot do for ourselves. It is a gift that's given to us despite ourselves, that we are blessed. And so I love that notion, I love that way to think about what it means to be blessed, because that's really what the gospel is all about. That's what Jesus is really all about. And really, if you look at the scriptures, what God has been communicating to the world since Moses recorded the first 5 books of the Bible, and even before then, that history of God trying to teach his people, I am going to bless you despite yourself. I'm going to bless this cursed people who deserve to be condemned and judged, but yet I'm going to bless you. Like the reading a couple of weeks ago with Jacob, when he was wrestling and fighting with God. What should God have done to Jacob? Take him out. He's a nag, he's a nuisance, he's a troubled person. And what does God do? He blessed him. And so that's what Jesus is saying to the Beatitudes, to the people who gathered here. Because they're looking for the same thing that we're all looking for. We're looking for what it means to be blessed. We're looking to be blessed. We're looking to be secured. We're looking to be saved. And what is he saying? Blessed are you, even though you are striving and struggling and hurting and being persecuted. I am coming to bless you. And to give them that future promise. For this will be given to you. Not because you don't work for it, not because you're going to earn it, not because you deserve it, not because you're worthy of it. You are going to be blessed because of my grace, my love for you. That's the Beatitudes. And so how does this fit into All Saints today? Well, think of the biggest curse in this world, and what's that? Death. I mean, isn't it aging and growing old and dying? Isn't that the biggest curse that we have? Is it the one thing that we cannot run away from? It's the one thing we can't hide away from. It's the one thing we can't change. It's that curse of death. And so what is our blessing in this life? Is that even though we suffer and even though we die, what does Jesus say? You will live. I want you to think about that in a few moments when we read off the names of our brothers and sisters who are not with us anymore, and you yourselves in your own life and your own family and friends who have passed away. What hope do they have? In death, nothing. But in Jesus, everything. We are saints, not because of who we are. We are saints because of everything Jesus has done for us on the cross. And we do have a blessed future. It's not going to be here, and that's okay. We have a blessed future that's waiting for us, and that will come when Jesus comes. Like we read in Revelation, that blessed future of that glory of heaven when all the people, all nations, all tribes, all languages come together to worship and to celebrate the Lamb who's in the center, all dressed in white robes, perfect and pure and holy. No more sin, no more death, no more pain, no more crying, no more hurt, no more broken families or broken friendships, no more poverty. A perfect place, a piece of paradise. That's what we look forward to as saints because of what Jesus has done for us. In the meantime, let us be this way. Since we are blessed, let's be a blessing to others. Let's live our lives not for ourselves to be happy, but let's live our lives for the joy and the blessing of others, just as Christ did for us. Because in the end, all of this will pass away. But we look forward to the glory that is yet to come in Jesus Christ. Amen.